Welcome to the next episode of After Hours with Veronica. We get to have conversations pertaining to project management. You all know that project management is my thing. This is what I adore doing. And a lot of people only think about project management within the scope of what they do. But project management covers every industry. It covers every business. So with After Hours Conversations with me, Veronica, I get to talk to people from different industries. And today we have someone so special. Her name is Kadian Peynado. And what she does is works with other people. And she wants to make sure that she gets the best out of them. So let me tell you a little bit about her. She is the founder of Relationship and Family Counseling. She is a licensed professional counselor and an approved clinical supervisor ACS. She earned her Bachelor's of Science in Psychology and Psychiatric Rehabilitation at Kean University. She earned her Master's of Arts degree in Community and Agency Counseling at Kean University. Kadian has over 18 years experience working with adults and adolescents in various settings, including crisis intervention services, in-home therapy, intensive outpatient and traditional outpatient. Kadian has experience with strengthening families, youth development, anger management, trauma, parenting skills, adoption, LGBT, gambling, and building strong relationships. I am so honored to have Kadian with us today. Hello, Kadian, welcome.
Hi, Veronica, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. This is something that, as I mentioned prior, this is something that I get to do. That's why it's called After Hours. It is After Hours. I just want to hear more about what you do and how that ties into project management. So if you would, please share a little bit more about yourself. Please do.
Okay, so you gave a great intro, so I'm pretty covered in a lot of areas, right? So I've been in the field for, like you said, over 18 years. I'm currently a licensed professional counselor, actively counseling age groups from 5 to 99, you'll say, right? So I counsel all age groups, nationalities, different family settings, individual therapy, group therapy. So I'm pretty invested and passionate about my field. And along with that, I also run my own mental health agency.
Oh, wow. And how long have you had the agency?
I started, I believe, 2016. So about 4 years now.
Yeah. 4 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, when I read your bio, I saw something that stood out to me.
What was that?
It was tied to crisis.
Yeah.
At one point in time, I was asked to be the person on the phone. So I live in the Tampa Bay area. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of bridges here. So there is this phone on the bridges. I think of it as almost like an Obi-Wan Kenobi. and they're able to reach out to Obi-Wan,
Mhm.
and they wanted me to be Obi-Wan. Now,
Mm,
I don't have that chip. I
right.
wanted that chip, but I don't have that chip. Tell me how, when you're working with people who you know really need your assistance, or something not so fantastic might happen, how have you been able to work with that for yourself, understanding that you're helping others, but how have you figured out how to help yourself?
Wow. All right. Let me just get a clarity on the question. Are you asking how do I practice self-care while being in such a emotionally driven field? Is that what you're
Yes,
asking?
definitely.
So of course it takes time to learn that, right? So of course I will be lying to tell you in the beginning of my career that I just knew self-care. No, burnout is real in my career, right? However, you do have to start practicing what you preach. So a lot of times with my clients, I do preach a lot of self-care, whatever that looks like for them. And so I practice that as well, because if I'm not good, I can't offer anything to them. So my self-care could look like literally just sitting on the sofa doing anything, nothing at all, brainless activities, doing things like arts and craft with my daughter. Um, it just means anything that just give me back my time,
Mhm.
allow me to reset and regroup because that's important. That way I can offer a lot more to my clients. So I do self-care and I do it a lot more now because especially with all that's going on in the world, my my clientels are pretty heavy.
Mhm.
So I do have to take a lot of time to meditate and work on, being reset and realigned so that I can be assistance to the clients I serve.
Oh my goodness. Now you mentioned meditation.
Hmm.
Do you do it in the morning or in the afternoon?
Well, I actually do it any time of the day, I'll be honest with you. I really just started adding that to my regiments of things to do to relax myself.
Mhm.
So if it's literally in the middle of the day, I just recently got myself a singing bowl. I love that
Oh,
thing.
nice.
Yeah. Like not everyone enjoys it, but I like it. I like the vibration of it. I like the sound of it.
Mhm.
So I can actually meditate in between clients. Like if it was a heavy case and just a heavy session is what I guess is the best to describe it.
Mhm.
I'll get my singing bowl. I keep it close to my desk, and I'll just give myself a moment to regroup because that's important for me. So I don't have a set time. I try to do it before bed. I try to
Mhm.
do it in the morning, but I do it as needed, to be honest with you.
I love that. I love that. And I know that a lot of our listeners are also trying to figure out, well, how can I do self-care? So it feels as if you actually gave us permission to do it any time of the day
And
that we need it.
right,
I
right.
love
So
that.
think about it as having a headache, right? Most people do take over the counter medication, right?
Mhm.
So think about it. If you have a headache, you're not going to wait to take care of the headache. You
Mhm.
kind of just get a leave or whatever medication or whatever you need to do, rest in the moment to get rid of the headache. So it's the same concept. If you're feeling burned down and you're feeling wore down and you just need to regroup and need to reset, why wait? Just
Mhm.
do it.
I love that. I love that. And thank you for that. Not just for the listeners. I care about y'all too. But uh for me too, because I'm running projects. So
Right,
when we think about your caseload or the type of work that you need to do during your day, when did you find
right.
out that you were actually running projects? When did that
Well,
light bulb?
I'm gonna be honest with you, Veronica. I didn't realize I was running projects till I met you. like, like I mean, I had leadership roles in college. I had leadership roles in my career before I started working on my own. And when we met and we start talking, I start learning more about your field. I'm like, oh, so pretty much everything I do is a project. And I even purchased your book, I read your book, and I'm like, oh, really? So Veronica is on my desk because then it's also a guide for me. Because every little aspect of my life, even if I'm a mom, and she's a whole project herself. So even the activities in her life is a project. So I was like, wow, Veronica got something here because it's a project. So I didn't learn that everything I do is a project until I met you.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, and not knowing it didn't mean that you weren't doing it.
No.
Right?
I just didn't, I just didn't know that it was a project that.
Mm-hmm. So that would lead me to believe that you've organically put together systems for yourself.
Right.
What does that kind of look like?
As far as my work, as far as what?
Well, as far as work, it could be, you had said that your daughter is a project, right? I would say that everything that we do has some sort of project element tied to it. And the reason why I say that, and I heartfelt believe that, is because we are usually fixing something. That's all project management is, right? We have a focus. There is some sort of a goal that we want to get to. And it's a way of processing that so that we don't forget anything, right? So some of us have notebooks and we jot things down in those notebooks. Sometimes we might put something in an org chart, and instead of it saying CEO up at the top, we might say whatever name of that project that we chose to give it, and then walk through all of those steps. We in project management, of course, have different methodologies. A lot of us took that test that was dizzying. I don't mind saying that. Like I said, this is after hours with me. You get the behind the scenes. But since you didn't have that part of things and you were working through what works best for you, what did you come up with?
So my approach to project is what I hear you asking, right? How did I approach it? Mm-hmm. So basically, with a lot of flexibility, right? Because I had to go with, like, I had a common goal, whatever the project is, whether it's in my business or if it's projects that, around the house, around, with my daughter, whatever. I always have a goal, but I always try to be as flexible as possible to reach that goal. I think in your book, you called it like something similar to, I remember reading it and I was like, okay, that's a way I approach it, like agile.
Right, yes.
So I more identify with that approach because I was like, okay, everything I do, I have to save wiggle room because there's always things that might pop up. There's things that you have to change in the moment. There's a path that you're taking and you're like, oh, this is not going to work. And you have to be able to be flexible, but stay on task, right? Does that make sense?
Definitely.
So that's pretty much how I approach things when it comes to projects. Be as flexible as possible, but stay on task to meet that goal.
Now, does your daughter help you do things too?
Yes. So when it comes, so my daughter, I mentioned to you before, my daughter, I helped her open her own business this year, right? Her lip balm business. So
please
that's a
talk
project.
About it really, really quick. Tell me about the lip balm.
So she went to a online business class for children, a week-long camp, and she created a product and she wanted to do a natural lip balm, made it all natural flavors. She did not want any chemicals, anything like that. So that was a project on its own, right? And her business is
Now you can tell that I have used it so much that whatever was here is worn away. I don't mind. I'm not shy. I'm going to need to place another order shortly. Please tell your daughter that this is everything.
Thank you. And she's very like, she's my boss when it comes to that, right? I do all the making sure that everything is in place and teach her along the way. And that's what making the whole project. She created the name Flow Healthy on her own, the design, the ingredients, everything. So that was a big project for us. And we still run that project because you have to run your business. So she helps me with that. We organize things in our home and she helps with that. So I have to make everything a project, right? Because then she needs a goal. And when she has a goal, she's a little more motivated. So pretty much running my household is a project.
I'd agree. And what's so fantastic about that is that when we teach people in the beginning, we are putting together a foundation for them.
Right.
They might deviate from that, but they still have what that baseline is.
Correct.
And you doing that for her is setting her up for so much success. So I think that's absolutely fantastic. And then over time, you might introduce some vocabulary words in there. You know, like, yeah, you know, all these things that we have been doing when we've been mapping all these things out. It's actually called a work breakdown structure, honey. You have been putting together a work breakdown structure and you're awesome at it without even know what the name of it was. So I think that's so fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, and she's pretty good at running her project. She's a boss. She's a bossy pants.
And she is her own project manager. Because see, I was thinking that she was on your team, but I was wrong. You're actually her team member. And she's the project manager. See how that flipped? That's the best.
Sometimes she's the wonderful boss and sometimes she's just not. She's the
Sounds like real life to me.
Right.
Like real life to me. Well, I love that. So that being said, are there any productivity tips that you could share that have helped you?
I think over the years, what I've learned to like have I can't say stress-free because it's not going to be stress-free, but when you're running projects, time management is important. That's what I've learned, right? To make sure that you're meeting deadlines and you're creating realistic deadlines. You're not saying, no, in 2 days, I'm gonna have the whole thing done. You're literally giving yourself realistic deadlines and managing that time well, right? And the other thing that I, as a mental health professional, I always think you need to take mental health days. If as your project is going, if it's becoming overwhelming, you need to take a break. You need to step back. You need to be able to say, okay, I need to regroup. Let me take a mental health day. Let me not even think about this project. Because once you rest, you're able to come back with a clearer mind, clearer views, and you're able to tackle your project the way you want to tackle it, right? So those are the two things I would say: time management and just making sure you're taking care of your mental health in the process.
I love it. I love it. Now, are you a techie person, or do you write? You said no. Like, no, Veronica.
No.
Okay, understood. Which is also good, right? For a long time, I didn't put anything in my electronic calendar because it felt like it was hidden away.
Right.
So I want to see it, right?
Right. When it comes to, because you brought up calendar, I'm thinking, when we first started getting smartphones and they started being a little touchscreeny and whatever, everyone's like, oh, put your stuff in your calendar on your phone. That's the way to be. And I promise you, on like 2 or 3 occasions, I don't know how I did it, but I will put all my stuff in there and I'm like, yay, I'm with time. And it got erased. Like I don't know how, but from then I'm back to paper and pen.
I understand. You are not the only one, Katie. You are not the only one. At all, at all. So with what you do, and I'm sure it'll probably feel like to a lot of the listeners that I have a tendency to have a lot of ladies on. So fellas, if you want to be on the podcast, you just let me know. But until then, I have ladies. I have ladies. Are you feeling any gender bias in your profession?
No, not really. So my profession has actually, my profession it's a lot better. It's a lot better. Let me not say that. There's not a lot of male therapists as there are female therapists, right? So I do feel like if it comes down to it, less qualified male therapists would get a position before I would, because I'm like, they're like unicorns in the field, right? So that I haven't experienced that at all, but I do know I have male therapists as friends, and I do know that in certain environments they're more valuable, and I get it, right? I get it, and you can get a female therapist anywhere, but male therapists are a little harder. But I haven't experienced like I got looked over for a job because the male therapist got the opportunity and I didn't. I never experienced that, but I just know in the field in general, there's a lot more female therapists than male therapists.
And it's so funny that you would say that, because I'm basing what I know. I'm not saying that it's correct.
Right.
So give me a little bit of grace. But it's from TV. And
right.
And on TV, at least these shows that I watch, I tend to see men with a clipboard. And does that
Right.
couch really exist?
Well, in my office it does.
Because they're all lean back, and he's writing and what is that joke? Tell me about your mother. One of those types of things. And I would think that even in my thought process, while I'm having those conversations, because I'm fixing something then too, right?
Right.
So am I wrong in saying just having those conversations, you're navigating a project? Would that be valid?
So we wouldn't call it a project, right?
Not to their face, ever. But see, all of the proper words. I'm a regular lay person. I might not have all of the vocabulary, but I know you do.
Yeah, we'll call it treatment. You'll never tell someone you're just a project. Like
project. Woo.
But yeah, a treatment plan is a project technically. Yeah, it is. It is. Because you're literally managing that person's emotions and trying to get them from point A to point B, right? Treatment plan has objectives and has goals. That's what a project has.
It sure is. It sure is. Now, with a project, we also have what we call the definition of done.
Good.
How will I know that we've actually reached the end point? Is that something that you would share with them, or is it something that you're your client or your patient would tell you, I think we're finished? What does that look like?
So basically, like I mentioned before, a treatment plan. So a treatment plan, you're usually doing them in 3 month increments, right? And in between those 3 months, you do a reflection and say, hey, let's see what progress we're making. Let's see how we can move forward. And sometimes even, and that's why the flexibility piece happened, because from the first 2 sessions, you're having a conversation about what the needs are and how we're going to go about meeting these needs, right? And getting to these goals. But halfway through, you might discover, uh-oh, this plan doesn't make sense anymore because there's other issues that we didn't think about from the beginning. So once you get to a goal for those 3 months, say things go smoothly, and you get to those goals and you meet those goals, if the client wants to continue because there's other things to work on, then you continue. But if not, that's the end of it, right? You do a discharge, and not that they can never call you again, but once you've worked through everything you need to work through, and if you feel you're okay, then you discharge. So that will be the end.
I understand. Yeah. So it sounds like you all are in agreement of what that end is. Would that be accurate?
Right. And the end looks different for everyone. You know that, right? Because everyone's situation is different. So the end could literally mean I need to refer you somewhere else for further evaluation, or it could simply mean you're doing great. Let's just have a maintenance plan, or we're pretty done. Let's discharge, right? So it all depends on what the goals are and the progress and what you agree upon with your client. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So I do want to ask you something that could potentially feel uncomfortable, but we're among friends. We're among friends. So is there a time when you feel as though you failed at a project, that you failed as a project leader?
Yeah.
Has that ever happened? You're like, no, Veronica. Never.
A lot. A lot. Are you kidding me? Especially just now how I view projects and understand that mostly everything that I was doing in my career was a project, right? Or yeah. So I remember one time though, I was the coordinator of the crisis unit, and one of our jobs a part of our job description was to provide like presentations to the public. And I'm like, I've been doing this crisis work for a while. I get it. I got this. No big deal. So I didn't prepare for it. Ooh. I didn't. I went because I was full of myself and I thought I just knew what I was doing. And yeah, it showed that I didn't prepare. Because I didn't expect the questions that was coming my way. I thought it was going to just be kind of like just an informative kind of presentation. I didn't expect all these questions to be that I was going to be needed to be prepared to answer. So it just looked like a hot mess, in my opinion, anyway. I just kind of gave whatever answers I could, but I felt like it was a failure because I was not prepared at all, and you can tell.
Okay. Well, it wasn't filmed though, was it?
No.
Okay, well then it was lies and propaganda then. You were absolutely fantastic, but if you could have done it again, what do you think you would have changed?
Actually, just being more prepared, doing some more research. The topic, I thought I had enough knowledge and I didn't. And there was a lot more to the topic. And, just being respectful of people's time, because if this was a community event, and so that means people are taking time out of their schedule to come to this presentation to gain something from the presentation. And I felt like I didn't offer enough, right? So if I could have done that differently, I definitely did more research just to be more respectful that people are actually coming to see this presentation.
Mhm. Understood, understood. I always say, even if it's one person,
Right.
even if it's one person, I am going to give them everything. I am giving them full on
Right.
Veronica so that they
Right.
can tell others she did the full thing and it was just me in there. It was just me.
That's right.
That
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
that is wonderful. Okay, so I want to know, what's your view on training? Do you think it's something that should be done? Do you think that, at some point you actually know what you need to know? What do you think about it? What is your view on training?
So training, okay, so as a therapist, right, the it's important for me to continuously train, right? I need to continue. So let me just clarify. Are you asking giving the training or receiving training?
Receiving.
Okay, yeah. So just want to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
So as a therapist, I am forever getting involved in training. First of all, for our continuing education, we have to do X amount of hours to renew our license anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So training is important because things evolve yearly. You know, the population we serve changes, the different stressors, the different traumas that happen around us. We have to be knowledgeable of whatever the changes are happening in the world. So it's important for me. I think training is it's a must. If to answer your question, training is a must. You should receive ongoing training, regardless of what it is. Learn different areas about your field. Learn different areas about things outside of your field, even just so you're knowledgeable about just different people and different aspects of the world. So I agree with training all the way.
Okay. And this is when you get to ask me questions. I'm not saying try to take me out of my game. I'm just kidding. I can answer whatever questions that you have for me. You have a certified project management professional in your midst. What
Well,
do you want to know?
so one question that I would love to know, because you have the best stories, of course, um, because you really do. So you're pretty, in my opinion, you present very knowledgeable about the field. What's one of the most challenging projects that you had to manage, and
Ah,
how did you manage it? How did you get through that challenge?
well, we don't always have our projects from the beginning.
Mm,
Sometimes someone else had it and then you take it over
mm,
for whatever reason. See, did you like my PC just then? For whatever reason, now you are the owner of said project. That also means that you are walking into a team that is saying to themselves, why do we have, why are they here?
mm,
We just had another project manager. We didn't vote on this.
mm.
Why are they here? So it isn't so much the project that is the concern. It's the building of rapport with a new team that might not want you there. Real talk.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is so after hours.
Right.
So when that happens, you actually have to put your stake in the ground, as my sister would say, this is me and this is a can of paint. Now you know me from a can of paint. There are certain things that we are going to do together and certain things that I'm not going to tolerate. And I need to make sure that I set up those ground rules in the beginning. But you have
Okay.
to be that type of person that can handle whatever fallout might come out of that, because they're not used to someone being strong in front of them.
Right.
A example of that I could give was I took over a project, and I sent out the agenda, of course, a couple days in advance. I don't believe in having morning meetings. I think those are disgusting. So it was after 10 o'clock. And I walk in. This was actually face to face. So this was very pre-COVID. So it's face to face, and I see a room full of people with nothing in front of them. No pen, no paper, no nothing. I don't know these people. So I thought to myself, I guess this is how we get down here. Right. So I start presenting. I start talking about all the things that we have to do. And then they stop me, Kadian. They stop me. They're like, but where's our agendas? Where's our pens? Where's our papers? And I said, oh, I guess they're still at your desk or in your inbox. I'll wait. Now I know someone said, who in the heck does this chick think she is? And so someone was so bold as to say, well, our previous project got all these things for us. It was all laid out. It was all prepared. And I said, well, with me, we're all going to be adulting. And I'll wait for you to get your things so that we can prepare. So I believe that if I had a folded, right, because you have two choices, either you fold into somebody else or they fold into you. What you can probably guess, Kadian, is that I am not a folder.
Right.
I don't do that. So when I have all of these people and they're saying, no, you need to do that, I'm like, clutch my pearls. I'm not doing that. I will wait. But had I folded, I believe you would think that they are going to try to run me during the entire project.
Yep.
I can't have it. I can't have it. So we actually won an award once they got past all of that.
Right.
But they had to take ownership for their piece. Now, one of the challenging parts, I would say, is that they were very high in the organization. So I believe that they were used to that control element. I tell you what to do thing. But I believe that it was my name on that project charter. And next to that name, it said project manager.
Right.
This is me, and this is a can of paint.
So I see that. I can see how that was a challenge because, yeah, you pretty much, it's like these guys could have, or these people could have been your bosses in the room, right? They could have been the one who hired you. Yeah. And you're pretty much telling them, go fetch your own pen.
Right. I will wait. I will wait. But what I also say is that we teach other people how to treat us.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So if I had folded and done that, they would say, I got her number.
Right.
I'm going to be doing all of these things.
Right.
That's what is that commercial when Facebook first started, and there was a lady who had all these pictures on the wall, and her friend said, well, this is my wall, and the other friend said, right. That's not how any of this works. That's not how any of this works.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's not how it works.
I forgot about that commercial.
I love it. I love everything about it. Any other questions for me?
I guess my other question would be, so I read your book, the book of Veronica. What I would have loved to have with it was like a workbook, to kind of like, because it if anyone who, and I'm not just saying it because it's you, right? If any, it was user friendly, it was very simple, but it would be nice to have like a workbook that has like an outline, right?
Ah,
Blank spots, like fill this in, and little parentheses. Look, I'm planning, right? Little parentheses of, you know, what can go in this area. Because yes, I read it. Yes, I understand, and I still reference it, especially when I'm doing projects. And it would be nice if I had like a little guide, kind of
ah.
like, you know, now I'm giving you work.
What do they say? Your wish is my command. I will put that together. I will definitely do that. I will share that the initial intent of that book, which is actually called The Book of Veronica, beyond the
The
certification, because
certification.
once you take your test, people are expecting you to execute.
Right,
You know,
right,
it isn't just your commas. It's not just the
right,
commas. What are you
right,
actually doing? So
right,
it's more of a behind the scenes things that your boss probably won't have time to tell you type of book.
right, right,
But there's
right,
always an opportunity for another edition, and
right.
always an opportunity to have a sister to that book. So I will definitely make that note and make it happen. So I will definitely do
So
that.
challenge accepted, I hear.
Challenge accepted. Done deal. Done deal. Well, I am so overjoyed that we were actually able to get together. Thank you so much for
Oh, you're
telling
welcome.
us
Thank you for
more.
having me.
Oh, it is my absolute pleasure. I do want people to be able to reach out to you if there is something that they need. Please tell us how we'd be able to reach you.
Sure. So for Brandon Kadian, you can reach me on kadianpeynado.com. Also on IG and Facebook as Kadian Peynado. And for Epiphany Relationship and Family Counseling, you can reach me at on Facebook and IG, epiphanyrfc, and website epiphanyrfc.com. So any of those information, you can just reach out to me that way.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I thank you so much for your time. It's been my absolute pleasure. And everyone, until next time, please click the like, subscribe, click the bell so that you know exactly when our next episodes are coming out. If you have any questions for us, please feel comfortable commenting. We are going to take a lot of our next content from the things that you pose to us. So please feel comfortable doing that. Until next time, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Bye.
I love it.